Let's see.
Eventually.
There we go. Oh, zoom in. Yeah, let's zoom in.
Well, we don't need any zooms today.
Working for the weekend.
I'm gonna lip sync it.
I want this show. I flip on the poker face.
Hey.
Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man over there.
Who that?
Who that?
To the music scene.
Yep.
Showing lots of love.
Show me some love.
Show me all the love.
With great advice, I know who I should go see. Town radio
Show.
is where I go for the latest planned info.
Oh, yeah.
Radio show.
For the music that
No.
it's a all around radio
Show.
the all
Oh, are we
around
ready to
radio.
fix that?
What'd you say?
Really?
What did you say?
Jeff Van says we're on live on XM on channel 666.
We are. That's my XM radio station today.
I love that.
Yes.
It's the
It's very fitting.
You think? Oh my goodness. Hey, this is going to be a hot topic today. So here, go ahead and start with this.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of our sponsors or any entities they represent.
Thank you. That's awesome. Ta-ta. Hey, we are live at 5. It's Hot Topic Tuesday, people. Let's see who's checking in. I'm looking. John from Columbus. How are you, John? Thank you.
I think he came to visit me on Saturday.
Yeah, I saw a picture he took with you.
Yeah.
And Carla's here. She's been waiting.
Hi, Carla.
And Carla, you're waiting for your prize package. We're putting that together. Trust us, it will come. It's
We're
just
slow.
I have to. We don't have any stock of our merch, so I have to order some, and I've got to get with you on sizes and things like that too. And
But
then
it's
we'll put it
coming.
together. But it will. And then we want you to sport it on the air. We want you to come on one day, be a guest, Carla.
Absolutely.
Radio. Thank you, sweet sister Mercy. Hey, you had a big weekend at the Bell, didn't you?
Yeah. It's been a pretty big weekend. March has been a good month, thank goodness. I don't wanna
Hello,
change that.
Dave. Can I tell you, I had an incredible show Friday night with Miss Jackie opening for the Prince Experience. And as I posted on my page, she shouldn't have been called an opener because she was a headliner.
Yeah, she's not an opener. She's too amazing to be an opener.
Let me tell you, they were so good. And this was different for them because they pulled out an 80s set of about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes worth of 80s music and just killed it.
Yeah.
Just a really good night. It was a great night. And I was so glad to see it.
What Miss Jackie does that I wish more artists did is they have different set lists for like different things. So they have for a specific 80s party, they have 80s party set lists. They have like 2 or 3 different set lists for the normal days, like on St. Patrick's Day, they did 2 different set lists because they were at Froggy's in the morning and then us in the evening. They don't fuck around, dude. They like take it serious. Like they have different, so nobody, there's something different all the time.
And why have I never appreciated her guitar player like I should have?
Well, I don't know. He's good, huh?
He's phenomenal.
If I'm not mistaken, is he relatively new?
That I don't know, but I will tell you that he just wowed the whole crowd that night. He was just slaying the songs and just so good. So damn good. Hey, Tony, thank you. Ed Sawicki and that wiki.
Thanks, Steve Hook. I don't feel that way, but that's very nice of you. Thank you.
Hello, Bob Klein.
Hello, Bob Klein.
Good to have you with us today. Carla says she's all good. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Brian,
Kyle.
Dave.
Kyle's been with them forever. That's right.
Kyle, yes. Kyle
was thinking of
Niederman.
I was thinking of the drummer.
Kyle Niederman. Chris Reese in the house. Yep, John said that was him. Brian's in the house. What's up, drummer Brian? Erica's here. What's for dinner, Erica?
Erica,
Always have to ask.
I'm tired. I've been cleaning and setting up the food truck all day.
Couldn't tell.
Doesn't
She's gonna kick my ass now. Look, it's
I'm
a good
sorry
thing
that I don't look. I'm quite literally disgusting mess right now.
I'm really sad that you're not in your old woman outfit from last week. 100th episode last week. That was so fun. It was. Bob Klein joined us. It was really good. Hi, Bronson, Steve. Let's say hi to a few people in here and we'll get started. Catherine, thank you. Catherine's always good at sharing. Sharing is Karen. Share that show, people. Hi, Josh Baker. Ed says Kyle is excellent. Yes, he is. He slays it. Anthony, how are you? And F-bomb. Somebody caught an F-bomb already.
Who? Did I?
You. Probably. You just subliminally do it. You don't even know when you do it. It's just you. It's you.
Nice to meet you, John.
Gosh, look at all these people. Greg Skinner checking in.
Thanks, Carla. Hey,
wow.
Hey, Greg, since I got you here, March is over. When you coming over?
Hold on. Greg says I look good too.
I told him he looked good too. I thought he looked handsome today.
Thank you. I like being called handsome once in a while. That's the nicest thing anybody said to me all week. It's only Tuesday, but you know, it is. You're so kind. You are at times to me.
Oh shit, it is April Fool's. Maybe Steve and Greg
are April Fool's Day.
Us.
That's what our XM radio thing was about. I posted that on my page again this year. And every year I do it and the same gullible people bite into it like a crap sandwich.
I don't pay attention to April Fools.
Don't you?
I don't.
I also posted on my regular page, I bought a house in Florida and we'll be moving to Florida.
Oh, I saw that.
Bought into that too. Hook, line, and sinker. They did. Jim McCarthy's here. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim. Chris Reese. Yeah, everybody does know it's April Fool's Day.
Now I do.
And Bill Mark said he's a fool every day. I agree. Hey, my trivia tonight, Bill. You got trivia tonight at the Bell tonight, right, Bill? Your group, and I've got trivia tonight. We're doing our musical selection at the end of each round is songs with "fool" in the title. So think of some of those songs while you're sitting here. Yes, fool songs. Hey, Karis, we said last week on the show, I did go back and listen to make sure I was correct, but we did say we were going to have this week's show touch on this statement that's being put out by all the musicians, and I shouldn't say all of them, but a bunch of musicians posting it on their page that you're doing us a great disservice if you're out there playing cheap, and kind of to paraphrase it, but there's many different versions of it. And we joked last week. I joked about people playing for a sliced pizza and a beer in places. And really, we said it's your choice, but I want to touch on that today. I want to get some people involved and see what you think. What is really undercutting? I mean, that's what a lot of people are calling it. What do you think?
I was thinking when we were discussing that's what we're going to talk about. I have something else that I saw on the same line of things is somebody wrote on one of those Cincinnati musician sites, said, he says, I'm a musician. I've been out of the game for a while, thinking of getting back into it. Got to find a band. What's the going rate now? What should I charge? Not one person in the thread thought to ask, are you good? You're new. That might come into an issue. Just everybody was either like at least 1,000, at least 1,500, at least 600, at least, like they all had these numbers, and I was like, and this is why.
This is a solo person?
Is whatever it was, solo or band. Like people were like, if you're a band, it's got to be at least 1,400. If you're solo, you don't take anything less than 250. Not one person thought of saying, well, are you good? Well, you've been out of the game for a while, like you said, so you don't really have anything. So you're asking people to just trust you on your word, and they're just supposed to pay you whatever somebody else says that you should get paid. And I'm just sitting here going, like, is that how you guys decide? Like, is that how, I'm not the bands I work, I'm not talking about that, but is that how some bands decide? Like, just, it doesn't even matter our talent. This is who we are. This is what I'm doing. Doesn't matter how much I play. Doesn't matter if I have a following. Doesn't matter. But somebody on CincinnatiMusic.com said that I should charge $1,200.
See how that works out for you.
Right.
Just check that out. See how it works out for you. So musicians, chime in on this. What do you take this meme that's out there and this little statement that people are posting virally to mean when it says when you play for $100 or whatever, you're undercutting all of us and all that, or whatever it says? There's so many variations of it, but what do you guys think? I mean, what's your take on it? I'm interested in knowing. And
a lot of musicians have earned the rate that they're getting for years of term and toil. Doesn't matter if they're is their rate just guaranteed because they've been in the business for long, or do they have to be can they be talented as well? Do they have to be talented? Do they have to bring a crowd, or is it just because they've been in the industry for a long time? Is that what we're basing rates on?
I think I know Bill well enough to know he's talking about the trials and tribulations of playing, and they've paid their dues to get to that point, and they're probably that good if they've played for many, many years. But that's how I'm taking Bill's statement there.
I don't know. I get people that have asked to play at the bar, and they say, we've been playing for 20 plus years, and they are not good. So I don't bring them in. I don't think it matters, in my opinion. Just because you've been playing for 20 plus years doesn't mean you're still good. It just means you've been playing for 20 plus years.
Look at Scotty Bratcher's comment here. That's awesome. That right there says it all. And it's no different in any business. People try to undercut, and they'll do it for $100 less
Bill.
or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Did you see Scotty's comment there, Ceris?
I love when bands call venues and say whatever Scotty makes, I'll play for the. You will? Good to know.
100 less. Oh my. What's this say? Rick says when they undercut and they suck, we don't come. Okay. What Bill end up saying?
That's okay. So yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's people who've paid their dues, and yeah,
being undercut, they are not putting out a product that is good. So this was my take on that meme. I didn't mean to change the subject. I see so many, and this is, I don't know if I can address that part because I'm not a musician and I don't know, and I'm a different venue, and I don't try to undercut people. I don't try that. I think there's some venues that obviously try to undercut people. I think there's some venues that can only afford $100. I think there's some, and they just want to give it a shot. I don't think all venues that pay $100 are evil. It's just, that's just what they are. I don't even know if you can consider them a venue. Then they're probably a bar that happens to have live music. And that's a very big difference, by the way. But here's the thing. I see so many people on these sites complaining, like so many complaining about getting undercut, or people are only paying this, or the venues are only paying this, or the bars are only paying this. Why take the gigs then? Stop taking the gigs. You don't have to accept every gig and then start complaining about it. And I know that there's some bars that just screw people over. I've learned that. It's not me. But don't go back, man. Don't play those places anymore. What am I missing? Am I missing something?
No, I got to be the devil's advocate a little bit on here, but because I've seen, and what happens is you get a new bar that opens, they want to have live music, and they bring, it's a small place, so they're bringing a solo or duo in, and all of a sudden here comes the vultures who come in hovering over it, because maybe they say, okay, I'm going to pay you $300 to play for the night. Two of you, $300. You guys get 150 each. That's all we can afford. And people agree to it and they play it. And then here come these vultures who come in and say, well, if you're paying him $300, I'll do it for 100. And then all of a sudden that person gets booked one night a month, or sometimes more, one night a week, because they're cheap. And then eventually what happens? The live music goes away in that venue because cheap doesn't always mean better, I guess is my point.
I don't know. I think we need to really change our narrative because I think, like I said, there's a lot of bars that happen to have live music, and then there's music venues. And I would never hire somebody based on the fact that they're cheaper. Because that, to me, I don't know how many times I have to make the point of, are you good?
But you are of the exception, I will tell you. From that statement, you are of the exception, because I know a lot of people who say, okay, I've got this crowd that comes in here and drinks on Wednesday nights, and I can pay the guy $100 to play, or I can pay, somebody really good $300, but does it really matter? Is what they're going to say. Does it really matter in their bar? Because they have this built-in regular crowd.
In their bar, no, because they're a bar that happens to put on live music and they don't care. It's just an extra $100. Now, in a live venue, I don't know that so many live venues, they have a reputation to upkeep of being a live venue, like making sure they have good live music. I think there's a really big difference.
You want to know a stroke of creative genius I saw a few weeks back? This is, and you're going to kind of shake in your shoes on this one, but this bar decided that it was better for them and more affordable for them. And they hired a guy to come in who they basically, he was there all the time, and they gave him beers to drink for the evening. You got a tab. And also they handed him $100 and said, you're taking requests at your table. People are going to come up and write down requests, and you're going to play them on touch tunes with our $100. And it worked. People got to hear the songs they wanted. The bar paid for the touch tunes. So they just came up and made a request. He went over, or he had his little app there or whatever, and he was doing the $100 worth of touch tune stuff. And he was playing the songs people wanted to hear. I found it very interesting.
So no live music, just touch tunes.
No, it was touch tunes. The crowd remained the same crowd that they always have. I mean, it's not a music venue by any way, shape, or form, but I thought, to spend $100 to make your customers stay and happy because you're playing their songs. Now, they could have gone up to the jukebox and done this.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm missing. Yeah.
The bar's paying for it. It's like open touch tunes. Okay.
So yeah. I see what you're saying. So they spent $100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So instead of $300 for Joe Schmo to play guitar and sing, Led Zeppelin all night, the owner decided he's going to try this, and I'll be damned if it didn't work. I mean, it just amazed me, and it was like everybody's like, "Oh, free touch tunes, that's great. We can make our own requests." And now, will it last? I doubt it. But
that's clever, though. That's clever.
It's a great happy hour gimmick.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great at happy hour but they had someone managing it. So you didn't get that. They were able to skip songs and do things if somebody came up and put on Screamo or whatever that doesn't fit your bar, because some people will do that just to screw with you. But that's a whole nother story. But it does say that right now in the business, and it as well as anybody, people are looking for affordable ways to bring people into their establishment. Look what you're doing on Mondays.
God, that's so much fun.
Yeah. And you're hosting this thing.
I host it.
Yeah. Which saves you a shit ton of money.
It does. And it makes people laugh. It's like my favorite. I just love it. I love making
and you're good at that stuff. So, some bar owners would never do that. It'd be mortifying to do that to them, but you can just hit the ground running. But I still haven't heard from any musicians about what this meme that's out there really means to you. I mean, I want to hear that. And maybe I'm behind in the comments here. Let's see what Denny Cottle had to say. Oh my goodness, important question. Okay. I can relate.
Well, and I know Bob Klein and I have talked about this, Scott, it comes up a lot. It's that self-awareness. Are you actually good? do you even care if you're good, or do you just think you should be getting paid because you have a guitar? That's my thing. That's my thing. Just because you play music doesn't mean that that gives you a right on any stage. Doesn't mean that you're as good as somebody else or as bad as somebody else. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact you're another person with a guitar. Now, show me that you deserve to be on stage and that the price that you say you deserve to be paid. Now, I have no problem repaying people what's in my budget when I know I can make it the door without bankrupting me, because don't forget, I can only hold so many people. And if I can't, then I very politely say, I'm not trying to undercut you, but I can't book you. You're out of my budget. And I don't want to disrespect you. So I'm probably not the space for you. Right. So yeah, I'll try, that thing, but I don't know where I'm going. I just think that there really needs, there's a real lack of self-awareness, but a whole lot of entitlement.
Yeah. And let me back up to something too, as we're talking about cost, and something that hit home with me years ago, and I've mentioned it on the show. You got something you want to say about a comment before I get into this?
Daniel Brosh just said, hire a $300 band and you get a $300 quality. Most of the time I would say you're correct, but there are some bands that are much cheaper than other bands, and they're way better musicians than a lot of these bands coming in charging $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,400. Just because somebody charges less doesn't necessarily mean that they're not that good. I have learned that. And just because somebody charges a lot doesn't mean that they're that good. Trust me, it doesn't.
Wow, Wade, that's pretty blunt and to the point. Okay.
But any bar that takes advantage well, I agree with him. Any bar that takes advantage, any person that takes advantage of another person is a piece of shit, and they should eat shit. I'm with you on that, Wade. Bar or not, you don't take advantage of people.
So you just said something very valuable, though. You said, here's this band that, let's just say hypothetically, band A comes in and they want $1,500 because we've been doing it 20 years and we're the pro musicians. Band C comes in and they say, okay, we'll play for $600, and they blow your crowd away with talent and all that on stage. That's what's scaring people, I think, in some aspects of this little thing that's going around. And I got to back up to what I was going to say. I've said it on the show before. Years ago, a guy that owned a car dealership, friend of mine, he looked me in the eye and he said, Scott, he goes, if I sell 1 million cars, $1 over invoice, I've made $1 million. He goes, the other guy down the street that's upcharging that car by $7,000-8,000, he's not going to sell 1 million cars. So he says, I can do the math and say, if I'm the affordable guy and I still give you a good quality product, I'm going to sell more. And I can't deny that with the bands. I mean, I think the bands out there, like you said, band A or whatever that wants $1,500 because we're who we are, doesn't always make it at the cash register in the bar any more than band C at $600, does it? I mean, Ceris, are you with me?
Sorry, I was reading the comments. I apologize. I'm sorry, but sorry, Bob Klein. I'm sorry, I'm really getting into these comments. I apologize. Bob Klein made a comment. He said, look at the top most sought after bands in Cincinnati. They're not bitching about this. Why do you think that is? Now, I like that comment, Bob, but
I'm trying to get there.
It happens a lot that the bands, exactly what you just said, that the bands that came in and are charging a whole lot more just because they've been playing for 20 years, think that they deserve a whole lot more. And then the bands that maybe are relatively newer or not even newer that charge $600, $500, whatever it may be, outshine that band. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've played. I could care less how long you played. I care about, do you sound like a band? Do you sound put together? Are you talent? I do care about how long. I don't want somebody who's played for 6 months and only has half a set worth. But I also, when somebody comes to me and their whole selling, their whole sales tactic as well, we've been playing for 20 plus years. Cool. Can you sing? Do you sound like a band that can sing? Because I got to tell you, I can't even count anymore. I need more hands. The amount of bands that have come to me and said, well, we've been playing for 20 plus years. So I think we know what we're doing. And I think we sound great. Well, you don't. You don't anymore. You might have 20 plus years ago, but you don't anymore. It's the same old freaking set list. It's the same old song, and it's nothing new. And it's not worth $1,500.
And Scotty Long, if you could ever pull that off, you're going to become the president of the music industry, and it ain't going to happen because there's never going to be a tiered pay list like a union pay scale or whatever for the musicians that are playing in bars. I just, bar owners will say, screw that and move on. They will. I wish that was a fact. It might work in the music theater. It might work in other places, but it's not going to be, if you're not, you got to be like a union musician, and that's a whole different animal. I mean, it is. And
Chad, I like that. I like that.
Thank you, Charlie Hobbs.
Thanks, Charlie.
And
I think that the pay should be based on a lot of things. It should be based on, yes, those are some of them, your talent. I have some bands that come in from Columbus that don't bring a bag of peanuts, but they're so freaking good and they don't charge a fortune by any means. They're not upcharging me because they're coming from out of town. They're actually charging me less because they're coming from out of town and they know that they can't bring anybody. Now, I'm one of those people, if you're, I'm not going to undercut somebody, but there's just so many different dynamics to all of this. A couple of bands have been like, well, I'm coming from hours away, so I need to charge you an extra couple $100. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to be doing it anymore. And there's only one or two bands that I've done that for, but it doesn't benefit me. I don't understand.
Let's talk about Tina's comment too. Let's hit Tina's comment because she's a venue owner. And Tina, I agree. Bands come in and they pitch prices. I think sometimes like it's and I guess it is a negotiation in some ways, but they come in and they pitch high and hope for this down here. Just give us your price and move on.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole cat and mouse game, nobody got time for that.
No.
Nobody's got time to deal with that. And I've had more bands that throw that, well, it's a festival, so our festival price is this. This is an easier load in than a bar is for a festival because you got built-in sound. Why are you charging me more?
Right.
I mean, it's like, and I've heard that so often. Now, if you're bringing the whole production, it's all outdoors. I get it, but if you're walking up and plugging and playing, don't shoot me a price that's $1,000 more than you normally would make because you're playing outdoors at a festival, which is
right. Well,
sometimes you're playing to less people than you are in the bar at a festival.
Festivals really take advantage of the bands, though. I have to say, it's quite
they
fun.
Do.
So
they do.
I don't know. When the city's paying for it.
Well, yeah, that's another factor we've talked about is you can't compete against the government who's paying that kind of money.
Tina, you're my kind of gal. I want to focus. Tina said, I try to give extra if it was a great night. Me too, Tina. Always. If it was a great night, always. Like I had a band that said, and I appreciate all the comments here of people saying, listen, when we're new to a venue, we don't come in at this high price. We'd rather build a relationship and see how that goes. And I got to tell you how much I appreciate that because you just don't know if it's going to work or not. And there's no reason to rip. And I always say, well, if it turns out to be a great night, I'll throw you what you're asking me. And I always stick to that. I give them the numbers or whatever, but I had a band that says to me, for our first time, I'm going to charge you this. And then maybe if it was a good night and you have us back, I might ask you for some more money. And I said, you're not even going to have to ask me. I'll just give you the money. Because if I'm bringing you back, then I know you're worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that it worked out, that we're a good team.
And somebody was joking about me saying union. And I think Danny Cottle was there a little bit, but if you've ever seen any of the documentaries about Motley Crue, they talk about that in there a little bit. And when they first started out, these people wanted them to join this, so to speak, union musician thing, and they would still be making what they say $100 a night each if they had stayed in that, because it just tied their hands to everything. I mean, it was like, this is our cut price. They weren't getting booked because of it. And that's the other side of this. I fully understand musicians. Every year in my line of work, I worked for a municipality for 35 years. We got a raise. And lots of people like to get raises. Musicians haven't necessarily gotten raises over the years. I mean, some of them are making the same thing they made in the 80s. And I know that's going to fire some people up, but they haven't. And,
but there's
a cap.
There's also some musicians that are asking for raises, but they haven't changed anything.
They haven't
added anything.
You have to add value to get a raise.
You're still taking long ass breaks between songs. You've added 1 or 2 new songs. You're not bringing me any more people. You're not doing anything different, but you're asking me for a raise. Doesn't that have to go both ways too?
Hold on, Joshua Baker just hit the winner today. I think some bands base it off egos.
That's 100% what it is. Like that is 100, and that's why I never, if anybody, any band, and it usually comes, it's either by the much younger bands or the ones that have been doing it. If I hear one more freaking person say to me, listen, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and that's their sales tactic, I'm going to say, okay, cool, bye. That doesn't mean anything. Like it does, but it doesn't. You know, so don't use that as like dingle, like put that in front of me like I'm supposed to be excited. Just be cool, bro.
I'm reading Nick Winters' post here. I love Nick Winters, and let's see what he has to say here. He says, here it is. Listen, I've been doing this music thing for 15 years. It says, I've learned it's not a one-way street. Prides himself in musical talent, but also never charges an establishment over $200 for an acoustic set. Not because I don't think I'm working. Bar needs to make money also. And yeah, you can get a lot of bookings that way. And I don't think you're undercutting anybody for a solo acoustic set for a couple $100 if you're playing a small venue, and you know, they have to make money also. I don't think that
100%, Tina. There's a band that comes from out of town. She said, but also just because the room is packed, that comes from out of town. And sure, they bring people, but nobody's drinking. That's another reason why it's tough to hire bands from out of town. And yet they still charge us more because they're coming from out of town. A packed room does not always transfer to that register. So just don't even think it. And I'm as straightforward as they come. Casey Gomez, you have got to be kidding me right now. You better tell me who that is. Hell no. Wait, that wasn't me, was it? No, I'm kidding. Who was that? Also, if you guys were not there on Friday night, CFG and the family with their special guests, holy shit. What an incredible night of music. Like, beyond. It was one of my favorite nights, musically.
Hi, Steve. Casey, yeah, I'd like to know who that was too.
That's disgusting, Casey.
Yeah, I would.
Casey, we are not having that, and I need to know who that was because
That's interesting, Jason. Thank you for that. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It is a two-way street, and the cash register has to ring, and somewhere along the line, the band mindset has to realize the raise can only be so much. Even if you're bringing a hugely quality product out and everybody's loving it and they're in there drinking, the bar can only make so much money. And eventually you have to realize there's a cap on what you can charge until you go on tour. Once you go on tour, you can do whatever you want then. You know, if you want to go on big tour and make a lot of money, that's your thing. But that doesn't happen to many people.
Jackie, don't even tell me that happened to you too. Y'all better tell me who the hell this is.
You know, that used to go on a lot. I haven't heard of it in a long time, but that used to go on a lot. And I actually worked at a venue once that would do that and asked me as the management person to be the one to tell the band that. And I refused. I was like, nope, not going to happen. we're not going to, just because we had a slow night doesn't mean it was, their fault. Who, what are you saying?
My screen went away. Can you see me?
I see you just fine. Yes.
Oh, there you are. My vet was calling and my screen went away.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I want to hear it, Casey, for sure.
2 different places. That makes me so upset.
Jacqueline is here, and I've got to say, Jacqueline, hello. And I was talking about you at the beginning of the show. You smoked it last Friday night too. I know Ceris was talking about Casey and those guys, but you absolutely tore the roof off the Blue Note Friday night. So thank you, Miss Jackie. We appreciate you. Yeah, boy, this is interesting. And I mean, I used to joke too about musicians coming in and undercutting people for, $50 and a slice of pizza, and I'll play 3 hours for you in a venue that normally would pay a couple $100 to $300 for somebody to play that night. And it was the way that person could get gigs. And all of a sudden the venue owners and a lot of them in those bars that aren't really venues would say, oh, hell, I can save this and people are going to listen to this jackwad. But really they're not. Eventually you'll run everybody out of your bar.
You will. That's why it doesn't benefit, and you'll just stop having live music anyways. Right. Cheaper doesn't mean better, and more expensive doesn't mean better either. I want good music, but it has to be at a reasonable price that I can afford. And it doesn't matter how long you've been playing, and to a degree. And you can't be greedy, and these bar owners can't be stingy, but at the same time, it all comes down to self-awareness. You may want to charge $400 or $300 for a solo gig for 3 hours, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah. And I don't want to be the one promoting a venue that's out there cutting the band pay in half and all that either. I don't want to be doing that stuff. So let me know, people. Hi, Aaron Thomas. How are you? And
what venue, Ed?
Joshua says, moral of the story is to be humble. Yeah, we've said that a few times, haven't we? And worth, and ask your worth. Yeah, you got to know how good you are. And you also have to know that when you play, we expect people to follow and come in and go to that venue and spend money in that venue. And like Kara says, I have this problem just on the trivia side sometime, because I have people that follow me faithfully and they sit at a table and order a pitcher of water all night long and sit there and take up space. And you got to spend a little money in the venue. Yeah. Nobody's asking you to get shit-faced drunk or any of that stuff. Just spend a little money, buy something.
Yeah.
While you're taking up space.
This year has been very eye-opening because we have been busier than ever, but our sales are down.
Megan, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, and some people do. Some people have huge egos that have played for 20 years.
That's the thing.
They're not all that. I always look at them and say, "Where's your tour bus?" And they look at me funny. "Where's your tour bus at?" Because you're acting like you're some star on the road that everybody ought to bow to, and you're going around signing everybody's boobs. It ain't happening.
Right. There's a lot of bands that are pricing themselves out right now. Tons. Lot of bands. And there's only so many music venues that are going to spend that kind of money on a band. And they are pricing themselves out, and it's ridiculous. One of them, and I will not mention their name, not only charges an arm and a leg. To them, they think they're worth it, but they also cancel at least 3 times a year. They're on gigs. Somebody's always sick. Somebody's always this. And let me tell you something. Canceling 3 gigs a year is a lot. Like a minimum. That is a lot. I will never hire them, and their price has nothing to do with it. But then there's another one that I can't even talk about it. They just keep adding more players to their band, and because they add more players, they think that they're worth more. But then you look, and they really only have 1 gig every 2 months.
Tina, that is a winner statement if I've ever seen one. She says she's blaming the diet shot and people are preferring to get high versus drinking. It is happening everywhere. I've talked to so many venue owners who are in this same boat with this. And people come in all jacked up and high and don't buy anything.
Yeah, it's a bit, it's,
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
know
problem.
I know a couple of people on the diet shot and they're still drinking quite a bit, but that the weed thing is a big thing. The weed thing is a big thing.
Thank you, Tammy, for saying that. You're exactly right. And that's just my point is, Kara said you can fill a room, but if the cash register doesn't ring all night long, your band didn't do justice. I mean, you know, that's, and people that come to your bar, they try to partake in, I mean, you've seen a downtick in some of it, but they try to partake in things. And you've been very creative with the non-alcoholic drinks and all the things there to help with that.
Like we're still doing great, but like that's the biggest issue with booking bands from out of town. That's the biggest issue. And that's why when they say, well, we're going to, you know, because we have to drive an extra distance, we're going to charge you an extra 100. It's done. I'm not doing that. It's not worth it to me. It's 100% not worth it to me. That doesn't make, I know why it makes sense for you, but it doesn't make sense for me.
Well, we've said countless times, you get 25 miles from home. A lot of times nobody knows your name, so it doesn't draw like a local band does that everybody knows. Even though you may be fantastic. I mean, and I'm sure Bob Klein,
you, honey.
Bob Klein could chime in on that because he does travel and play quite a bit. And like he said, it took time for them to build that trust in the audience for people to come see them when they come there. And it's a matter of building trust with the customers and the venue owner. And
you just hit it. I truly don't, I don't think 95% of the people have any idea what it takes to run a venue and how much it costs. Too
damn much.
I don't think anybody, I honestly don't think people, they just think it's running a bar. It's like this easy thing. They have no idea. Thank you for saying that, Phyllis. Honestly, thank you. Because it is fucking ridiculous. I love it. I'm not complaining at all because I love it. But it is very expensive. It's complicated though. Booking locally is different than booking it. That's who we are in Michigan. Several states, some musicians have to take a huge pay cut. So when booking out of town, you have to wonder, are we then undercutting the local bands in those areas? I don't think you are. You're doing what you see. That's why I didn't agree with that statement, that meme. I do agree. I understand the point of it. But I don't think that has anything to do with like you coming from out of town to play. I don't want you guys to ever think like, or anybody to think that's you guys are doing those local bands a disservice. You got hired and you didn't, trust me. I have to think you got hired because you're good. You know what I mean? You didn't. No, don't think that, Casey. I refuse to believe that. No, don't.
But I get what he's saying.
I do too.
They want you to play for a lesser price so you can come in. And then if they see you're good, maybe the next booking, the price will go up.
Yeah.
At that. And when he's talking about going to Chicago or Michigan or places like that, which is always fun for the band, but not necessarily lucrative for the band. I mean, you've had bands come in. You had a guy come in from Lexington, Kentucky one night, Ceris. He was great, but didn't bring anybody. And that's an hour and 20 minutes away. I mean, it's not like it's
right,
you know, a great distance, but still, I don't think people are going to go out and party and then not stay the night somewhere. They're going to try to drive back to Lexington that night. You know, I mean, you get all that. Let me see what Heather's got to say here. You don't need out of town bands with the talent pool in town. That's fact. But it's funny how those out of town bands will come in, and I've heard Kara say this numerous times and want to upcharge because we want to put travel time on our booking with you. Well, you know, throw us a price. I've heard Heather say it at Heather's here locally. These bands some of them are pricing themselves out of business, and it hurts like Heather's feeling. She's like, I love this band, but I can't afford them anymore.
It hurts me too.
You know?
Trust me, it hurts me too. But if you know,
hi Lee.
It doesn't make sense, and I just think it's stupid. I'm sorry, but I think when you price yourself and you're playing at the same 2 or 3 bars and that's it, can you really say that's stupid. But okay.
Let me get to a few last comments here as we go. Thank you, Phyllis. You've had great comments today. Thank you for that. And Bob says, we play out of town all the time, but most shows we're not asking for more money. Yeah. Even with a following in out of town areas, venues can only afford so much. And that's what I've been trying to preach on these shows is
we're going to have Bob Klein's band at my venue.
You can only get so many people in your venue, Ceris. I mean, and it's that way everywhere. You can only get so many people in the room and you can only make so much money in a night.
It's
I don't
true.
care what they say. I mean, you can say, oh, it's a packed house tonight. Yeah, it's great.
Sheldon.
But sometimes a packed house doesn't make as much money as a house with 100 people in it.
Want to know something funny? This was a really interesting thing because I love these type of, I look at every dollar and penny and like head counts and this and that, per head count. So the first time that Cassette Junkies played, we had a lineup from 8:15 till about 10 p.m. outside the door. It was jammed packed.
I was there.
Okay. It was stupid. It was so busy. Okay. This past Saturday, it was still busy. Trust me, it was still busy on Saturday, but it wasn't like a lineup. It wasn't a lineup at all. And my numbers were more this past Saturday than they were the first time they played.
Isn't that interesting how, it's hard to predict.
And we were only like, the difference was, I think 11 tickets. So like, it was like, I'm just using this number. When it was their first time, let's say it had 200 tabs. Saturday was like 190. It was much more than that. I'm just using those numbers. So it's crazy. It doesn't matter how that's a really good way to like look at things and to it seems packed to you and you would go, man, their numbers must be through the roof. Why didn't they, give us extra? Doesn't mean shit. In fact, the busier we are, it's harder to get a drink anyways.
That's a fact. And that's that way in any bar. It is. Your bartenders can only work so fast.
They can only work so fast.
And then, people don't respect that either. I've stood behind a lady the other night at your place and she's standing there going, what kind of drafts do you have? And then she went through what kind of bourbons? And pretty soon it's like, lady, there's a 20-person line behind you trying to get a drink. Right. Would you order something? They don't have time for this. It was like question answer.
Some places will only book certain people regardless of talent. We get accused of that all the time.
I don't buy that. I buy it in some of the smaller venues, but I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, we get accused of that all the time, even though I bring in 10 to 15 new bands every single year. And I still get accused that every single time.
Now, Wade, I will agree with you on the fact that I've seen people get residencies like once a week at different venues that suck. They shouldn't be playing once a month, let alone once a week. I've seen that happen. And I don't know, they either have naked pictures of the owner they're threatening to put on the internet or something, but they get booked and they're not good, not good at all. And thank you, Joshua. We love these topics too. And this was a good one today. This is one that there's a lot of buzz about it, but I still haven't had anybody yet be able to explain to me what kind of money we're talking about here. And that's maybe message me if you have feelings on it. You don't want to put them up on the show, but I'd love to know, are we talking about somebody that plays for $100 or $50 when you normally get paid $300? What are we talking about here? What's the difference? Or is it the band that plays for $600 when the other bands want $15? I don't know. I don't know where it all gives, but
I had a bunch of bands that said to me that this was their bullshit talk to me, who said, well, because we bring in our PA and we have to bring this in, so we charge an extra $300-400. Okay. So I went and I got my own PA. And I said to the bands, and I said, hey, well, I got my own PA and I got my own sound person. So I guess we can cut out that extra $300 that you said that.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to say that. Only one band has ever actually said to me, oh, well, since you're not using our sound guy and our stuff, you don't have to pay this much.
Which
Like,
is
that's
just
really cool of you.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And I will give her
does.
props. That was Miss Jackie.
And Steve Shoemaker, I am going to get with Ceris. We will chat about getting grocery store vodka down there one night and get you guys involved in the jam one night. That'd be fun. And let's plan that, Steve. I know you sent me a message regarding it. So let's make a road trip to the Bell and the Bear on a Thursday. That'll be fun stuff. What do you got going this week, Ceris?
So I just want to read all this.
I know I'm running out of time.
Oh, sorry. We got trivia tonight. Bill Marx's trivia tonight, prizes and fun. It's the first Wednesday of the month tomorrow. So that is Rick Kern's solo show. On Thursday, we jam. We also have Mickey's new band, tribute band. They're going to be playing on stage on Thursday with plus some other things. On Friday, we have Top This Band. If you love to dance and love a good freaking dance band that makes you feel like you're at a freaking 90s concert, you need to experience Top This Band. I'm just saying, they're freaking incredible. And then Saturday, we have Crown Watts, which technically one of the best bands you can find. I'm very excited for this weekend.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I got a couple quick events I want to mention too. I'll be at the Miamisburg Moose tonight doing trivia and then doing a fun thing on Friday. It's Fish Fry Friday at the VFW in Kettering, Ohio. I've been to these. They have 400 people come to these fish fries at least. And I'm doing 70s, 80s, 90s now trivia that night there after the fish fry. So join me for that, if you will. And then we got a lot going on next week as well. We'll get into mentioning that as well. And Brandon Harvey, if your team's coming back to name that tune this year, please put that on the trivia page because Heather's trying to plan. And we saw your name wasn't on there. So we're wondering if you're alive. And if you're not, just tell me. Send me a message. Eric Sears, thank you guys. We'll try to get all your comments up, but they'll be on the page as it's up there. You guys are wonderful. I think this has been one of the most commented on shows we've had in a long time. And good topic, Ceris.
It was good, guys. I'm loving this. Was really this, and this could have branched out to so much more too. Like I loved where this was all going.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Charlie, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Kevin Tolles, thank you for stopping in. Dewey, thank you as well. Guys, we love you all. Thank you. This is episode 101. We're in the hundreds now. And thank you for joining us today on Hot Topic Tuesday. Tomorrow, live at noon, right here, Gina and Johnny Band going to join me live at noon here. We're talking about their new album and such on Wednesday with the band. Go ahead.
Joshua Baker from ATP, his band would like to come on one of your Wednesday shows.
Well, let's get him on.
Oh, and Emily Schultz.
Emily's coming on.
Okay, good. And then her band, they're going to play. I'm excited to have them, and I reached out to them. I'm excited to have them.
I have not seen them. I've seen the videos. They slayed me with it. Yeah.
She's ridiculous.
She sounds great. Do you have bugs? I saw you doing this.
Because I leave my door open so my little schmoopies can go in and out whenever they want.
I got you. Well, thank you, everybody. Ryan says, what's the hot topic today? Go back and watch from the start, Ryan. It's a good hot topic. It's about all kinds of things, musicians undercutting other musicians and such. So thanks for watching, everybody. Ceris.
Thanks, everybody. Thank
Carla.
You. I love you. Thanks, Wade. Thanks, everybody, for being so communicative today. I loved it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Love you, Kevin.
That's a great picture of Kevin. Look at that picture. That's cool.
It's a good picture.